Hi, my name is Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer, and every single Friday I give you your macro technical analysis video. Would you want to see all the different charts from Bitcoin to the S&P futures to the NASDAQ to gold to the dollar index, just to kind of see what's happening in the entire world markets in conjunction with Bitcoin and see where we're going? Let's see the probability of what's happening and what's likely going to happen. Remember, last week I was very bullish on Bitcoin, and you can see that we did get a monster move here for BTC. So let's kind of move on into BTC. You can see what happened here last week about the 7th, right? Today is May 9th. So about the 2nd of May there, last Friday, Bitcoin was kind of up out of this smaller flag. All right. We eventually kind of got the breakdown. I saw us in this fractal. What's crazy is I went back in time here to this fractal. You can see Bitcoin looked very similar. It made this higher low, almost looked like it was going to make a shoulder, a head and a right shoulder, but it was in a, what I call a broadening rising wedge, right? And that broke to the upside. Once we broke this top wedge, we kind of hung out on the top of it, and then we were gone for more. You can see the measured move is the length of that pole, and that's kind of how we started to run further to the upside. Same thing here for Bitcoin, and the measured move is the length of this pole. And you can see and once we got above the top, we started to run too as well. So Bitcoin getting a monster move, and in the next week or two, I see us either going sideways and then continuing, or just kind of getting, starting to kind of make another more sideways price action until we get a bigger pump. Right now, we are a little far away from the 21. I'd be looking for a flag, something like this. Like we may dip a little bit, but go sideways. I'd be looking for us to come back next week, either pumping out of this flag or getting ready to pump out of this flag for Bitcoin. So I'm more bullish than bearish on Bitcoin. I love what I'm seeing. Everything kind of starting to move in our way to the upside. Remember, if you were watching my analysis on Bitcoin every single week here, and you were watching me even on my channel, I kept talking about what is called hidden bullish divergence. All right. And I just want to make that apparent here and show you what I mean. And I don't want to spoil it here, but you take, any line and make sure you got this uptrend in Bitcoin from the low to the high, any asset really. But in Bitcoin, we had this low to the high. It's an uptrend. And then you want to juxtapose that exact area here on the RSI, and you got swing down to swing down, and that's hidden bullish divergence. If you can take a Fibonacci and you get to a 618 retracement anywhere near there, which we did, it's like coincidentally a known retracement area. Bitcoin did the same thing back here, and I've been showing it over and over again, but it pulled, you pull the fib, it bounced off the 618 golden pocket with hidden bullish divergence. The RSI trending down while price action trending up, and the stochastics RSI getting very low to the oversold area. Same thing here, we got very low to the oversold area. Another thing that will happen here is the fear was very heavy. The fear got to like a 9 or a 10 in the fear and greed index. Same thing here, the fear got to a 9 or a 10. I think it was a 10 here for sure. So, I'll just show you this fear and greed index, but the fear got to a 10 down here. And that's, to me, it's a must buy. When there's heavy fear in the market, I have to be taking advantage of that. That's just the only other way to offset when there's just too much greed, is to buy that fear. And, there's no other way mathematically. And so if you can't buy the greed, then you got to buy the fear. And then if there's a lot of fear, then I got to buy more as much as I can, right? So that's when I loaded up on Bitcoin. You can DCA here and there, but what I do, again, not financial advice, but I buy a lot at the highest fear, because that's usually when I'm going to get the best price. So Bitcoin continuing, if you want to just look at your bigger picture too. So I see that flag breaking out, making a flag, but the bigger picture is that we continue to pump somewhere up to $137,000 to $139,000 Bitcoin. And again, we go back to that daily. We're just looking for the daily to flag out here, possibly to the upside, maybe in an uptrend, somewhat like this. Hold the 21 with it. And then this can continue to go to the upside. But it does look like it might take 4 to 7 days. We might be here at the next analysis, and this might be just kind of getting ready to pump, or looking like it's about to pump to the upside. And that target takes it to 116,000, and then we're in for some new territory for Bitcoin. I look at the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies, and it's the same story. We look at the weekly, and we got the massive breakout that we were looking for. Previous support was resistance. We got the pop. Huge pump last week compared to this week. It was awesome. We got the huge move to the upside. And now, again, the daily's hot, but the 21's curving. And I'm just looking for price action to kind of make these like sideways uptrending flags So then we can continue to pump to the upside. Bitcoin and altcoins together kind of all getting their move. We take a look at total 3, and we would expect, similar scenario here, and we got it. We made this flag, and this flag pumped. We'll look at this on the weekly. And again, just a monster move. It came back to the lower resistance, but we did bounce. Beautiful falling wedge that did break out. The last 2 weeks are awesome. And big pump. You can see the stochastics want to run, the RSI, the MACD, everything wants to continue to run. And then you just kind of look at your daily. A little further behind Bitcoin, you can see, because we're not back above that 200 MA as strong. And so what could happen here is the altcoins could just get one more little push so they could go sideways, or they may come down. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but either way, I see the 21 coming in and then another big punch coming. But it looks like we may just get one more time to accumulate altcoins for the next 5 to 7 days with a higher low coming in, and then we can get a nice big punch. But either way, I still see a higher low coming and a big pump for the altcoins, but it would be a blessing if we could get some lower prices. But we may just go sideways here and not get any, and just continue to kind of go sideways before a really big consolidation, and we pump. So very, very bullish. I like to look at the DXY because the dollar actually curiously getting a bit of a pump. And you would see, with all this action, it would make more sense that this would make a bit of a bear flag here, see? So what's more likely for me is that this starts to kind of go sideways, and then we start to dump down again. Real estate prices go up, stock prices go up, right? Altcoins go up, and the dollar starts to trend lower. So I'm looking for this to go sideways and for the dollar to trend lower. This would make the most sense, and this is what we're looking for. And again, I love the U.S. I love the dollar to be strong, but when assets are risk on assets are what I'm heavy in, you definitely want to see the dollar pulling back so we can get a pump in these altcoins, right? That just only, so I'm looking for this to make a bear flag and continue down. When we're back next week, we'd like to see this continuing and starting its move further to the downside for sure. All right. And that is the DXY. Now, amongst all this, we want to see how much money is going to flow into altcoins. And we want to see if there's going to be a drop in Bitcoin dominance. Finally, we're getting it, and you can see that ETH finally starting to get that move. And this could be the beginning of a monster move here. Now, what if we jump back in and then we get a pump? But, even as Bitcoin starts to move, eventually it gives up some dominance. And that doesn't mean it can't continue to pump. It just means more coins start to pump with it. And this is what we see in Ethereum, a little bit pump up here, down, and then Ethereum just keeps taking some market share. This comes with ETH Bitcoin and finally ETH BTC. So again, back to Bitcoin dominance, this does look awesome. And it looks like this could trend down, and this could be the beginning of some alt season for sure. And you never see me say that in this channel because I don't say things I don't, but alt season, that's how it begins. And the high probability there is such. ETH also finally getting above 4-hour 200 MA here, just getting a monster push. You see this and just boom. And this is ETH for Bitcoin. So ETH BTC. And then we want to see is this just kind of goes sideways. If this goes sideways, that's going to be a really good sign for the altcoins. And then boom, we're going to get another big pump in the altcoins. And that's alt season, like really starting to shine right now on ETH Bitcoin. So I like that. And then we look at Tether dominance. With all this happening, Tether dominance should be dropping like an anvil. People should be running out of Tether like you read about. And you can see it's happening. I have this rising, right here. You can see up, down. We're at the top of this falling wedge, and we should be dropping all the way back down here. And so far you can see it. And you can even see the head and shoulder pattern forming. The shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, maybe a little more sideways, slight bounce, and then boom. And I see more downside for the Tether dominance, and that makes complete sense. So everything working out and showing signs of alt season exactly the way we desire it. And then to gold. Are people running into gold now? Well, gold had that frenzy, so people felt like, hey, I could take some money off the table here and use it for other things. But gold's still looking good. And if the dollar starts to fumble, which it is, gold's going to go sideways. So I would look for gold to go sideways and gold to run with the Bitcoin run. It makes sense that they should rally together. But it looks like gold will go sideways for a couple more weeks, and then a big pump for gold to $4,200 an ounce. Looks like it's coming not too long from now. You heard it here first on the channel. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at the S&P futures, and we showed signs that this thing was going to break out and make a pump. And now you can see that it's in a bit of an ascending triangle, right? And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for this to continue sideways and continue to pump. It looks like when I'm back next week for this macro analysis video, we'll be breaking out of this on our way to the upside. And that's my call as they continue to print money and the S&P continues to pump. And again, I saw this fall broadening wedge, right? We saw this shoulder, head, right shoulder. And I keep saying that they're going to pump, you know, the stock prices, M2 money supply is coming in. There's just too much money, and they printed too much money, and it's going to be going into the stock market. So I see a move here, and you can see just like this, I see a pump coming out of that ascending triangle. Same thing for the NASDAQ. It's almost identical idea here. It just hasn't formed as solid of a structure yet. But I'd like to see this bounce and get more sideways. And as long as it stays above the 200 MA on that 1 hour, that's like, you know, how you're going to start to kind of build this bigger move. And the same thing here on the daily. If you look back, you know, we broke out of the broadening falling wedge to the upside. And this looks like a giant inverted. If you look at it, it's like shoulder, head, right shoulder, and we're gone. Or maybe even a slimmer shoulder. So I see a bigger move coming for the S&P as well. And I'm watching this flag on the 4-hour time frame. And as you can see, as the DXY continues to lose value, the NASDAQ just inherently is going to start to pump again. And then people are going to have faith, and then that's going to create buying pressure, and then here you go. So I'm bullish on the NASDAQ and the S&P, as you can see. And so far, so good. Everything is kind of starting to plan out. And that is your macro technical analysis video for basically all your major assets from Bitcoin all the way to gold to the NASDAQ, the S&P, and then even just kind of tracking the dominance throughout the cryptocurrency industry from the Tether dominance to Bitcoin dominance and more. And also showing how Ethereum is finally taking a charge against Bitcoin, which is the beginning of altcoin season. It's what everybody really looks for when they come and look for these macro analysis videos online. So beginning of alt season very well may be for the first time in a long time. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You can find out when I post my next video. Remember, if you came to the channel, then you're already doing the right thing. Crypto is life.